excited. We understand they're a very good team. We've actually put some work into them and called around. And from what we see, they're one of the better teams in the USL right now, which I think our group understands, and it will be a tough challenge as the first round of the Open Cup always is. It's just history. I've done this enough to know that for many factors, this game is always a very difficult one. So we'll have to be prepared. We'll have to make sure we're competing at a high level, and then make a few plays that matter.
All right, thanks for that, Dane.
Yes, Ben, this is a good group. Calidad inside this group. Tomorrow, new chances.
That's it. Listen, the season as it's played out has been not a lot of games so far, right? And but it's been a long time but we haven't had this back-to-back type rhythm that we're about to undertake here. And to me, it's very exciting because I feel like we've had a lack of games, and really that's where we're learning about our group, for better and worse. And here's another opportunity not only to see, more about our group, but see about some guys that haven't got as much time, as you do in the first Open Cup game. You have to thread a needle of minutes and balancing the whole week and looking into the future of a bunch of games right after this. So, if you do it right, everybody gets involved, everybody feels a part of the team, and if you can get the right results, it can be a very fruitful time. But again, we're still extremely focused on the task at hand. We appreciate and respect the Open Cup here at the Dynamo. We've been successful several times, and personally, I think it's a great tournament. I continue to have a lot of love for the Open Cup and what it means and the history of it all. And again, we're just excited to have an opportunity here at home to advance.
Hello, Ben. Good morning.
Good morning.
How is the team feeling after the last games?
The moody. You lose a few in a row, and you lose the way we lost in Colorado. It takes a few days, but we're pros. I think you have some tough conversations with each other about where we're at. You give some time for the emotion to step aside and still get back to the process of this and see what's working and what isn't, and you fine tune and adapt, and also understand it wasn't that bad. At halftime, even though it was 2-0, we have it could be 3-2 us easily. And that's the risk reward against them, and that's kind of the way we went about the game. And we didn't see out our chances. They saw out theirs. The start is still a problem on the road. But when I look at the whole of the season so far, our home performances have been good. The results always haven't been there, but our home performances, we walk away in most of those saying, we're in the right direction. And then, the two starts in Dallas and Colorado, 6-minute and 14-minute, ironically, both minutes in each away game, we give up goals. And then you're chasing the game on the road, and it's just not a recipe for success. So if we clean that up going forward and continue some of our home form and growing, I got a lot of faith in the group. And we'll keep chugging along. Culture's fine. They're into it. They understand that they've had some tough conversations within themselves too about accountability, and this is all part of the season. But there's urgency for sure.
Okay, what do you expect from Paso?
A very technical side, a team that can break you down with short passing. They're experienced. They're tough. They have a lot of MLS experience, so they've been here, and it's certainly not a young group. So they're built for the Open Cup in some ways to make a run. But we'd love to stop that.
All right. go to Dustin. Go ahead.
Hey, Ben, you talked about it a little there, but how do you kind of balance, going from getting back on the horse with guys wanting to get back in and, get back good form to, giving guys minutes that need minutes or haven't got to play as much this season?
It's a good question, right? Because again, that's where you need to exhale, and take some of the emotion out of what was a bad loss. But again, they scored 2 down the stretch. We had it back at 3-1. We were, again, the late goals in Colorado. I've seen that story over and over and over because you are cooked, and our guys gave everything in altitude and down the stretch. You're chasing the game there. That's what it looks like. I've seen it so many times. So you got to take, I think, some of that, the score line with a grain of salt, but it still hurts and it's still emotional. But you got to take some of that out of it and understand that we have a long month and a lot of games, and be pretty clear about the kind of not only this game but thinking about with an eye on the next one. And so we'll find the balance. It's never easy. The Open Cup, you also dress 18, and there's overtime to think about. So this is, in some ways, these are the hardest ones of the year to kind of figure out because of some of the layers that come along with it. But we'll find a balance. We got a good group deep, and we'll try to thread that needle.
And just last one for me. I know you talked about El Paso. They have when they haven't lost this season, advancing the Open Cup. You look at a team like them, how do you compare these USL teams when you guys look at them, talent-wise, just compared to other MLS teams that you play?
Well, I know you trying to trick me on this one, Dustin.
Never.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for the USL. It's a great league. It's a very important part to the structure of our soccer, community in this country. And there's a lot of guys that are on that roster, especially the experienced guys that have bounced up and down from the MLS that could be in the MLS. But some of them go there and choose to play every 90 minutes. And I think it's, I've had those conversations with some of our players that aren't getting the time. Like, do you want to sit on the bench, or do you want to go play in some great cities and some great crowds? And I got a lot of respect for it. But on talent, I mean, this is the MLS, and there's again a lot more resources and money spent on the MLS, so they should be, quote unquote, more talented. But talent doesn't mean, anything. If the commitment and competing and all the little things aren't there. And we've talked about that and take the USL part out of it. We talked about that going to Colorado. We're a talented team. We have some attacking pieces and we're able to score some goals. But if you don't show up in 6 minutes, you're down 1-0. Right? A lot of that just goes out the window, and now you're chasing a game. So there's so much more to this than talent.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, wrap it up with Selvin. Go ahead.
With the USA Open Cup coming up, how do you approach your squad rotation while staying competitive?
How do I approach this with being competitive?
Squad rotation.
I spoke about it, I think 2 questions ago. It's threading this needle of, relying on depth but also putting a team together that you think can win the game. And sometimes you're forced into certain things, and sometimes people have knocks that you need to focus more on the weekend. Some guys had the weekend previous that maybe didn't get as many minutes, and you also have some guys that you want to share minutes with throughout the game. It's a balance. And as I said, in some ways, the first Open Cup game has the most dynamics of the year as far as bringing in some fresh bodies, but also still having rhythm. And with, again, the 18 and the overtime, that there's just a few more layers to this one that always takes a few days to kind of figure out. And I think we've arrived at a good place where we'll have a competitive team that is ready to compete and advance.
Last question: what areas of the game are you most focused to improve from your last performance?
Well, I talked about the start, and 6 minutes and 14, giving up 2 early goals away is just a terrible idea. It's a terrible thing to do, and even though we had just as many chances, we have to have a better mentality, a little more tension, and maybe a little more pragmatic from the get-go to stay in these games on the road in the MLS. It's not easy. It's not easy to go anywhere on the road in the world in any sport. And sometimes you do have to alter some things, or maybe it's a mentality. But we just have to show up in a better way to start these games. And after we get punched, we have a response, and the guys give everything, and they emptied the tank there. And so the effort's not the issue. I think it's a mentality.